Gun owners, South Africa wants the police minister to re-look at the firearm amnesty and start a new process approved by Parliament. The association saying the amnesty was simply rushed. It started on the 1st of December and it will apply until the end of May. Paul Oxley, chairperson of Gun Owners South Africa, on the show with us to talk about the issue. Paul, good morning to you. Good to have you on the show. Just for viewers who may not understand what the amnesty is about, just in a nutshell, what is it supposed to be doing?
Well, an amnesty is typically to excuse people from criminal behaviour. Unfortunately, in this case, it's got nothing to do with criminal or unlawful guns. It's got more to do with the police trying to take lawful gun owners' firearms away from them ahead of the full hearing of a High Court order, which at the moment interdicts them from taking in firearms based solely on the fact that their licenses have expired. In South Africa's history, there's never been a firearms amnesty that's removed a single unlawful or criminal gun from the streets. These are undisputed facts. These are facts from the SA Police themselves, as laid before Parliament. They have never, ever connected a firearm surrendered in an amnesty to an illegal act in South Africa. However, what has happened is that 2,000 firearms that were surrendered in amnesties have been supplied by the police to the Cape Flats gangs, and at least 1,000 of them have been positively linked to murders in the Cape Flats. So this was a problem that the North Gauteng High Court identified last year during a court hearing. And the North Gauteng High Court determined that this was a national security crisis and that the police were therefore interdicted from taking in firearms on the basis that their licenses had expired.
So what do you now want from you're not against the amnesty?
We're not
itself.
against an amnesty at all. An amnesty is a good idea if it was a proper amnesty and if it was designed to take unlawfully held guns out of people's hands. That's great. What people need to understand also is that you're at any time, if you have an unwanted firearm, you're at any time able to surrender that to the police, and there will be no charges, and you can go into the police station and hand over a gun if you don't want it. However, this amnesty is patently designed purely to remove people that are under the protection of the GOSA interdict at the moment. We've held an interdict since July last year against the police, preventing them from removing unlawfully firearms whose licenses have expired. The reason that the licenses have expired and the people haven't been able to relicense their firearm is the police's fault. In 2016, the police sabotaged the IT system that allows for late renewals of firearm licenses.
When you say sabotage, why would the police sabotage that?
Pashlani, when he was acting National Commissioner, issued a directive in, I think it was February 2016, stating that the police would no longer allow late renewals of firearm licenses, which they had allowed up until then. In order to support his national directive, the IT system was sabotaged. The capture screens were altered so that they didn't display information if the person's application date for renewal was beyond the license expiry date. Whereas the law allows for late renewals on good cause shown. The police's forms that you fill in to when you renew your license specifically ask you what your good reasons are if you're late in renewing. And under those circumstances, people were always, prior to that, able to renew late.
We'll pick that up as well, obviously, when we start unpacking the license renewal when it comes to firearms, I'm sure, as this discussion goes on. But for the amnesty itself now, as we begin to wrap this up, Paul, what do you want the amnesty to now be? You want a new process to do what, and how is it going to be different to what we've seen being put into place now on the 1st of December?
The amnesty is totally unnecessary. It should never have been proclaimed in the first place. It was only proclaimed after the police ministry threatened the members of the portfolio committee that they either voted for the amnesty or they could look for new jobs. Literally. The morning that they were due to vote on it, they all received hurried telephone calls and were told that if they didn't want to look for new jobs before Christmas, they had to agree to the amnesty. It was forced through. It's a horrible thing. It's a mishmash. The conditions of the amnesty aren't strictly legal, which means that the amnesty might be in doubt. It's being interdicted at the moment by at least one party. The National Shooting Association, National Hunting and Shooting Association, is interdicting it. They'll be in court next week, the 17th. to interdict the amnesty, to have it terminated. The problem is, if the amnesty is terminated, anybody that is relying on the amnesty for handing in a firearm now, that amnesty will disappear from those people.
Right.
Anybody that intends to license according to this amnesty, if the amnesty is unlawful and the amnesty is withdrawn, all of those licenses will be invalid.
And I think, Paul, we're going to have to pick up on this, I think, when we get to that date of the court application. Well, there's
Sure.
a much bigger discussion to have. It's
17th.
clearly what the amnesty, as far as the situation is with the amnesty and what is now being fought, the 17th of December, you were
That's
saying.
correct.
We'll follow up with that, Paul, and no doubt I'm sure you and I will be speaking again, as well as the other interested parties. But I do thank you for coming in today to speak to us. That's Paul
Thank
Oxley,
you.
chairperson of Gun Owners South Africa, talking to us about the possible request for the termination of the firearm amnesty. Now,